When I'm back home in Wyoming, as I am every weekend, people often tell me about how they've suffered under the health care law known as Obamacare. And I've been able to give them some very good news recently about things that Republicans in Congress and this administration have done to help people get out of the Obamacare problems that they've been having and escape some of the problems that have been caused by the law. This is a headline in the Wall Street Journal from just June 20th, Exit from Obamacare, which is something that I've been working on ever since the law was passed. And what I've been able to tell people at home in Wyoming is that we have now scrapped the law's terribly unpopular individual mandate. We've done that successfully this past year so that people aren't forced to buy insurance that may not be right for them or their families, and certainly much more expensive than they'd like to pay. Well, you know, that individual mandate was part of the law that said every American, everyone, had to have insurance, not that worked for them, but that Washington dictated, even if it wasn't the right choice for them or their family. Well, I've told people about the work that we've been doing to expand people's options, their choices, their freedom, to use what are called short-term limited duration health plans. These are less expensive health plans. They are free from the expensive, intrusive, burdensome regulations that Obamacare has placed on the insurance that they've been forced to buy. Well, thanks to President Trump, I'm now able to point to the latest thing that Republicans have done to help millions of Americans get the care they need from a doctor they choose at a lower cost to them. Last week, the Department of Labor expanded the availability of what have been known as association health plans. This Wall Street Journal editorial called Exit from Obamacare, I believe, is the best example of it. And the idea is very simple. You know, large employers in this country can offer their workers a variety of good health insurance plans. And they can do it because they have the negotiating leverage that comes with a large group of employees. Well, small businesses, people who work for themselves, they don't have that same ability, that same leverage. Their workers are often stuck looking for expensive coverage, and the place where it seems to be most expensive, certainly that I see, Mr. President, is in the Obamacare markets. So an association health plan lets these groups of individuals, or just individuals themselves, band together and negotiate as if they were one big business, get much better deals. So maybe it's like all the Lyft drivers or the Uber drivers or independent truck drivers working in a state or working across state lines, all joining together. Small businesses that are members of the city's Chamber of Commerce, all those small businesses doing that. We've seen that in Las Vegas, where the Chamber of Commerce there has been providing opportunities for all the small businesses to come together. They've done it for over 30 years. Well, it was outlawed by the Obama health care law. Well, once again, these businesses can now join together to offer the same opportunities for coverage that the health care law reserved only for people who work with big businesses. It's a way for people now, small businesses, their workers, to escape the Obamacare marketplace that has failed so many people across the country. You know, according to one estimate, Americans who sign up for one of these association health plans, well, they could save close to $10,000 a year on their premiums compared to the individual Obamacare market. The plans would come with the same protections people get if they do work for large companies, and they have the same protections for people with pre-existing conditions, which to me is critical, Mr. President. You know, my wife is a breast cancer survivor, multiple operations, chemotherapy. It's important that we continue to protect people with pre-existing conditions, and this doesn't. Look, they have all the same protections against losing coverage if someone in the family gets sick, but it just allows them to join together in a group to have much better buying opportunities and lower costs. They'll have the same protections for people who want to cover their adult children up to 26 years of age. They'll have the same bans on lifetime limits for how much the insurance will pay. Well, you know, where I live in Wyoming, most of the businesses we have are small businesses. It's the nature of our state and a rural economy. They're the small shop owners, ice cream stores, florist on the corner. And when I talk to people in Wyoming, every one of them considers themselves a small business, in the sense that they don't really use the word small very much, because they just think of themselves as businesses in our state, businesses in our communities, businesses that our families rely on and go to and shop at regularly. These are people who want to do right by their workers. and they want to offer a lot of the same benefits that bigger companies have that they can offer their workers. So this new move by the Trump administration, it really does give all of them a chance to do that, specifically when it comes to health insurance and benefits for their employees. So Republican policies have been so successful at creating a thriving and growing economy that we now have more job openings in America than we actually have people looking for work. That's how strong this economic recovery has become. So small businesses really do need to be able to offer these better health benefits in order to compete for workers. So they need to be able to compete to provide affordable insurance so that they can afford it to provide it for their workers. At the same time, people who buy their own insurance have seen prices more than double under Obamacare. We need to help those people get back to more reasonable rates so they're getting the care they need from a doctor they want at costs they can afford. Well, when Democrats wrote the health care law and passed it straight party line votes, they actually targeted small businesses and forced them to pay more. Hard to believe, but true. So Republicans are leveling the playing field. You know, under this new plan, this exit from Obamacare, it's been estimated by the Congressional Budget Office that 4 million Americans will sign up for this new option. 4 million Americans. That's how popular this is going to be. And for people that don't have insurance right now because they can't afford it, they're saying that 400,000 more Americans who currently don't have insurance will be able to get insurance because it will now be affordable for them. So they'll finally have a chance to get the high-quality insurance that they couldn't afford under the mandates of Obamacare. Well, this isn't something that anyone's going to be required to sign up for. It's something that people will have freedom to make decisions and choices about, the flexibility to see what works best for them. That's what it's about, freedom and flexibility and choice. People can decide for themselves if one of these association health plans is the best option for them, the best option for their workers, for their families. And they'll choose one of these plans only if they decide it gives them better coverage and better value. Because isn't that what people want? Choices and value for the money that they spend. Look, Mr. President, it's interesting as just a result of the fact that when these associated health plans came out and the options that were provided, Democrats don't seem to like the fact that Americans will have this kind of choice. Washington Democrats like to talk about the benefits of union workers being able to get together to negotiate for things like better health care, but the same Democrats here in the Senate oppose this new action by the Trump administration that just lets workers get together to negotiate for better, more affordable health care coverage. The only difference here is that the Republicans want to give this opportunity to people who are self-employed or who work for small businesses. It does seem to be that the Democrats want to reserve the right only to the union members, the big unions, and maybe they're the ones that fund their Democrat campaign for re-election. But there's nothing in the new health association health plans that tries to lure young or healthy people away from Obamacare plans. It just said, here's a choice. Nothing requires people or businesses to participate. It just provides millions of Americans with a choice, Obamacare or association health plan. That's the difference. You can take a look, see what works best for you, see what you find value in, where you're going to get value for your dollars, and make that decision. Republicans are for opportunities and options. Democrats seem to be more for mandates and restrictions. We like to offer options and opportunities, openness. Right? I think the American people prefer, in this land of opportunity, prefer options. Democrats are going to go out in the campaign trail and claim that what we have done now to these associated health plans sabotage Obamacare. I've heard them talk. Don't believe it. If the only way Obamacare can survive is to force millions of hardworking Americans to pay too much for their health insurance, then Obamacare is the problem. Democrats don't seem to want to admit that. They also don't really want to change any of the things that are broken in the American health care system. They want it to stay broken so they can push the plan for what we've heard some of the Democrats refer to as a single-payer health plan. That's a completely government-run health care system where all the bills are paid by the taxpayers. It has become the liberal litmus test for the Democrats. They're going to hear a lot more about talking about that in the weeks and months ahead. And when I look at that as a doctor who's practiced medicine for 25 years as an orthopedic surgeon, taking care of families in Wyoming, having taken care of people from Canada where they have a single-payer system, a government-run system. What I've seen from the patients I've taken care of who've come from Canada to the United States for care. Why did they come? It was free in Canada because they couldn't afford to wait as long as they would have to wait to get the care. So when we look at what has been proposed by a number of the Democrats, co-sponsored by many, a single-payer health care system, a government-run insurance plan, you're taking it a program with higher taxes, longer lines, and fewer choices. And I just believe, Mr. President, that's not what the American people want. What they want is an exit from Obamacare into much more affordable insurance, something that works for them, something that where they have an opportunity to make their own choices and have the flexibility to evaluate what is best for them and their families. Mr. President, we're offering real solutions to improve health care in this country. We're giving families more freedom, more flexibility to choose what works for them, not what Washington dictates. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.